Okay, it's late, it's 6 p.m. I've got to be home in about an hour and I haven't done anything this whole past 2 weeks. I've had Barber Expo, a lot of other stuff to do, a lot of things going on, a lot of really exciting things, but it means that this has taken a back seat. It's kind of just been sitting there and I can feel like it's just slowly getting rustier as time goes by, even though I've oiled it. Not sure how long before this would end up in its original state, but we don't want to go that far. So tonight earlier today I sprayed the panels with this rust converter, Evapo Rust. It's supposed to turn the rust back into metal like magic, because some of the rust converters turn the rust black apparently, and because I want a bare metal look, it's better to have it converted back to metal. So the issues we've got with this panel, like that's busted up there, it's rusted through there, rusted through badly there. So I've bought a leading kit during the week. I was thinking I would try and lead some of that and try and do what I can and see how it comes out. It's not going to be a perfect restoration, and I don't mind. This is going to be done on a low budget and we can't afford like a full-on restoration. I'm going to do the most efficient, what I feel like might be the most efficient way to get this looking cool with as little money as possible and as fast as possible, and not taking it in a direction where it would make the car worse, because I feel like a custodian to this. Like, it's got a lot of history, maybe a lot of people don't care about that, but for me I feel like it's really cool that it's that old, 70 years old. So I want to maintain it, I want to stop it from getting worse. Tonight I'm gonna start disassembling this and see what I've got here. I've got to try and make that badge look good, and then this, I actually can't weld some, I can't fix a lot of this. So I might have to paint it black so it's less noticeable, or just leave it as a feature. But I'll clear coat it eventually. First I want to get it apart, try and sand it up a bit, because the finish you get with the sandblaster is very matte and it's porous. I feel like it's too porous, it'll rust too easily. So I need to smooth that out. Several rounds of sanding, then we're going to hit it with 2K clear coat, and that should protect it but give it a bare metal finish. So I'm going to take it apart now and we'll see what we're dealing with. I think as I bring these parts off, I should put them in like plastic resealable bags and label them so I know where they came from. Okay, I've got to go. I've managed to get the center strip off, which there's rust underneath where the sandblasting didn't get to. I got this rim off here, but I'm still to get this last piece off. It's really stuck. The studs holding it together are really rusted in, so I'm just going to keep working on them tomorrow. But one really cool thing is I started wire brushing the top and the badge, and I noticed the badge has been brassed. I think they put brass on before they put chrome and whatever is going on there, or it's just made of brass, I'm not sure. It looks amazing, so I can't wait to see that covered in gloss once this piece has been stripped back and fixed up. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna go. I'll see you in the next one. Okay, halfway point. I've hit this with a sanding wheel as best I could. And the problem is, there's parts where the rust is really deep, and I'm just gonna end up burning all the way through, I think. So I'm gonna try and treat that for now, I believe, with an inhibitor overnight. I won't actually hit this with a finer grit just yet, because we're not ready for that. Try and patch that up, try and maybe, worst comes to worst, maybe the lead solder. I've got the lead soldering kit, but to solder that, it has to be bare metal. I need bare metal for the flux to stick, so I don't even think I can solder this. Best I can do maybe is treat it, seal it, and then we'll cover this up with some kind of replacement ribbing. The original stuff we had was this. It's really in bad condition, rusted through there, and I had to bend it and rip it to get it off. So whatever we put here, we'll have to fabricate from scratch. Sorry about the camera leash. But you can see this side's nice and shiny, this side's still dirty. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest. Okay, I've taken the front grille back as far as I can in terms of cleaning it up. I've used wire brush and I've used sanding discs, and it looks cool, it looks kind of machined, but there's still parts where the rust has just gone straight through. It looks kind of ratty, it looks like it's seen better days. I don't have the skills to fix it, I'm not a mechanic. This is just a fun project, really learning as I go, mostly using YouTube to figure things out. So I think what I'm going to do is the least amount of harm and sort of step it up, because the other problem I've got is with this type of car, this vintage car, this Morris J commercial, I can't just go online and find parts for this. There's just nothing online at all. So everything I do, I have to either refurbish or fabricate or replace in some way with a different part from another car. So I'm going to try and do as much as I can, see how it looks, and then start making an assessment with each little bits of the car as to how we proceed, how best to make it look good. Next part of the process will be to start working on these doors. I've got these two rear doors. They still have the glass in them. They look like in okay condition. They still also have a little bit of rust damage to them, which I need to look at in due course. They're quite heavy, but what I'm going to do is sand them back, same as the front grille, and I've got 2K clear, which is an aerosol can with two parts in. It becomes like an epoxy coating, and that will provide a protective coat for the metal to hopefully stop it from rusting any further and keep it waterproof, keep it looking good. It should seal in that machine finish, make it pop more, make it glossy. So now what I'm going to do is take apart these doors, strip them back. The reason why I'm going to do these doors and the grille is I think 1 can of clear, once you actually combine the two ingredients for the epoxy, you've only got about a day or two to use a whole can. So I'm going to, I think, doing the grille and these two doors, a few coats each side, will be basically 1 can. So I don't want to have like a whole heap of can left over and not enough metal prepped. So I'm going to take these 3 panels I'm working on now, the 2 doors and the front grille. I'm going to take them back with the sanding discs, and then just on paint day I'm going to give them one last finish with a very light sand using a high grit paper, smooth it out, and then I'm going to use layers of degreaser, clean them up really well, get all the grease and oil off them, and then we're going to hit it with the 2K clear. So I'm going to cut now to a montage of what I'm doing with this. Hopefully it's going to come together okay. We'll see you at the end. Okay, moment of truth. Today is a very big day for this project. I've managed to strip back with the flap discs all of these panels. So we've got the two rear doors and the grille, and I've done that using a 60 grit flap disc and the angle grinder. What I'm going to do now is go over them again with the 120 grit. I'll just show you where that is. So we've got the 120 grit sanding flap disc. Going to hit them with that. Then we're going to hit them with cleaning like terps and wax and grease remover. Get the panels super clean. Then we're going to hit it with our 2K clear. So this is what I was talking about in the last episode. This thing, you basically get this cap here, pop it under there. It mixes solution A with solution B, and you end up with a clear epoxy. And we're going to hit all the panels with that and see how it looks. And hopefully it looks good. If it does, we can then roll this whole thing out for the rest of the vehicle. So let's see how this comes together. Hopefully it's amazing. And if it isn't, well, I'm not sure what we're going to do. I've actually got a lot of ideas for this in the long term, but for now, today is August 11, and literally 7 days from now is Ferrugusto, a huge street festival, which is right outside through that glass on this very street. 80,000 or so people will be attending a street festival. We're going to be out there with his van, so it has to look kind of okay. It's not going to be finished, but it has to look kind of okay. I've got a logo coming to put on the van. I just need to clean up the outside of it, and that will sit at the back of our stall, and in the front we'll have the table with all our gear, maybe a barber chair. So first event, 7 days. Let's see how much we can do. I'm going to crack into this now and we'll see how it comes together. Okay, so I've cleaned the panels up now, and a lot of grime was on them. As I was cleaning them up, I noticed, I'll show you, like just these rags are just completely dirty. This is up to the 3rd pass and still dirt's coming off, but they're pretty clean now. But the only downside is now I can see kind of squiggly lines from where the angle grinder's gone, and I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that look. So trying to think, what should we do now to make that look a little less crappy. What I'm actually thinking is the main panel that I want to look good is this, and these rear doors, because they're dented, rusted through in parts, things like that, I'm actually potentially thinking of leaving these off for now and coming up with an alternative way to seal the back of the van, because the way these are, there's all knobbly bits and holes, and it's going to be hard to weatherproof it. The handle that was here is no longer functional. I'm not sure how to fix that. So I think, if anything, these will just serve as a little test to make sure the 2K clear will work, that the method for cleaning this up will look okay. But when it comes to actually the finish, I'm not so sure that that's going to be the look we're going for, that will actually be good. What I'm going to actually do now is going to hand sand this with a sanding block, and see if we can get it. So I've got this here, I've got 240 grit to start in a block, and I'm gonna just hand sand over this and see if I can take out some of those gnarly lines and make it look a little less scraggly looking. So I'll do that now. Let's see how it turns out. Okay, I think I've definitely got a solution. So I've just done a once over of the front grille with this 240 by hand, tore it all up just doing that, but this was what the finish was like just with the flat disc on the angle grinder, and then this is what it's like after just one pass with hand sanding. And it's just evened out a lot of those swirls. It still looks machined, which is what I'm going for, and you can see some swirling, but it looks a lot neater, a lot cooler bare metal than that. So what I'm going to do is give this another pass over, maybe even use another finer grit and just smooth it out even more, because this piece is going to go on the vehicle. It's going to set the tone for the rest of the build, at least for this first phase. We may paint it all later, who knows, but so I'm going to finish hand sanding this and then do those, then I'll hit them with clear. Okay, I've spent a couple of hours taking this all the way up to 1200 grit, leaving some of the swirls in there, so it looks a little bit machined, but overall it's extremely smooth. Okay, I put 3 coats of 2K clear on the panels. I'll do a big reveal in the next video. I'm about to go downstairs now and work on the car body, try and get that sanded back so during the week I can paint that as well. And hopefully by Sunday, next Sunday that is, we'll have a car that's presentable enough for Ferrugusto. Fingers crossed. I'll see you in the next one.